What if Ned Stark never died? Now, it's not every day you see one of your favorite characters getting their head chopped off, particularly when they're such a significant character and it's still only season 1. But that's one of the bittersweet things we love about Game of Thrones. Anybody can die at any time in the most gruesome of ways. One of the most unexpected and, dare I say, major deaths in Game of Thrones was the death of Lord Eddard Stark, or Ned Stark as we commonly know him. His death caused a gruesome war across Westeros between the North and the Iron Throne, and a cascade of events that shaped the future of everyone, and in turn determined the entire outcome of the Game of Thrones story. But what if Ned never died? What happens to the story? What happens to your favorite characters? Spoiler alert, it's Game of Thrones still, they probably die. Would anything change with Daenerys and her dragons? And what about the Night King and the Long Night? Well, let's jump in and find out. So taking you back to the season 1 finale, Ned Stark is given 2 choices by Cersei Lannister. He is asked to choose death or declare himself as a traitor. And whilst Ned chooses to call himself a traitor, Joffrey decides to kill him instead. And that's kind of where it all happened. If Joffrey had chosen to send him to the Night's Watch, rather than kill him, things would have turned out so differently. So let's say Ned gets sent to the Night's Watch. The way I see it, 2 things could happen. 1, Ned makes it to the Night's Watch. He joins them at the Wall. It's unlikely, but it's possible. But 2, I think the more likely outcome is that Ned gets intercepted on his way north, and that begins a resistance against the Lannisters. The moment that happens, the war for the Iron Throne takes a different turn. Remember, Ned Stark is an honourable man. He always keeps to his word. He's not going to sit idly by and watch the wrong person sitting on the Iron Throne. So I think Ned joins forces with Stannis Baratheon, the rightful heir, and that means the Battle of Blackwater Bay would be very different. With the added assistance from the north, Stannis triumphs against the Lannisters, and he's crowned the new king of the Iron Throne. First of his name, King of the Andals, Slayer of Lannisters. The point is, when Stannis becomes king, the Lannisters are all going to die, and it's most likely that Stannis will still kill Renly Baratheon as well, via the Lady Melisandre. And then Balon Greyjoy of the Iron Islands would be easily defeated with Westeros united. There are so many things that won't happen if Ned Stark survives. First off, the Red Wedding. It doesn't happen, and frankly, I'm not too sad about it. It's honestly crazy how much George R.R. Martin killed off some of his major characters. I mean, in the Red Wedding, he kills off Robb Stark and Catelyn Stark in one go. But thanks to their triumph in Blackwater Bay in this scenario, Robb and Catelyn will return with Ned to the north. Now, they're gonna find a whole host of problems when they arrive there, but we'll get to that in a moment. Sansa, of course, doesn't get tossed around and married off to every lord of the land. Instead, she returns home with her father and her family. Theon Greyjoy probably never gets his, probably never loses his appendage. And by that I mean Ramsay Bolton doesn't cut off his ding-dong. You understand what I'm getting at, right? Remember, Ramsay only gets as bold as he does because his father was going to betray the North to the Lannisters. But that's negated as soon as Ned Stark returns. Remember, the Northmen respect Ned Stark. His word is the law. Houses like the Tyrells, the Tarleys, the Martells, they end up just being bannermen for House Baratheon, and a pseudo-peace would break out in Westeros. Things are kinda good until the Starks return to Winterfell. Now let's say that Theon does end up invading Winterfell. If you remember, Bran left Winterfell when Ramsay invaded and set it up in flames. Now it's likely Ramsay won't be that bold. He's more likely to free Winterfell from the hands of the Greyjoys and eventually find Bran in the Winterfell catacombs. But let's say that doesn't happen. Let's say Bran ends up leaving Winterfell and he meets up with Jojen and Mira Reed and they actually go looking for the Three-Eyed Raven. Upon the Starks' return to Winterfell, they find out Bran is missing, and knowing Theon, he probably confesses that he didn't end up killing the Stark boys. This prompts a search for the boys, most likely led by Ned Stark. Ned would meet up with the Night's Watch, where Jon Snow would join him, and this is where he'd learn about his Targaryen heritage early on. Not that it really means anything in this scenario because Jon is a member of the Night's Watch. Now Now this also means that Ned Stark and the Night's Watch meet up with the wildlings and they don't end up fighting. Ned finds out the state of things beyond the wall. They realize the threat of the White Walkers and they're likely to join forces. When that happens, Ned will be forced to prepare for the long night, as is the custom of the Starks. So all of Westeros would end up uniting to fight the White Walkers, with Lady Melisandre easily convincing Stannis to take action. The war against the Night King happens faster than expected. Now it's not clear whether Bran would become the Three-Eyed Raven, but let's just say he does, and the Night King learns of his presence. He ends up escaping, reuniting with his family as the Three-Eyed Raven, and since he's within Westeros, this means the Night King can cross the wall. If we go deep into the lore of Game of Thrones, we know there's magic in the wall that stops the White Walkers from passing beyond it. The same magic was in the Three-Eyed Raven's cave. The moment that the Night King marked Bran, he made it possible for the Night King to enter the cave. And the same thing happens with Bran if he goes beyond the wall. Hence, even if the Night King doesn't have a dragon, he can still cross the wall into Westeros. And since they know he's able to cross the wall, the Westeros Alliance would have to choose to fight the Night King, either inside the wall or beyond it. But either way, I don't think it's going to make much difference in the end. So we all know Arya is the one who kills the Night King. But if she never loses her father, she never goes to Braavos, she never joins the Nameless Order, she never picks up the skill of wearing faces, and she never becomes the strong warrior that we know. And without that happening, I don't see how the Night King is defeated, because nobody else could come as close as Arya does. Now it's most likely with Ned Stark still alive, the battle takes place beyond the wall. That way they have a means of retreating in case the battle doesn't go well. But that won't stop the Night King, and sadly the North would lose. Because how exactly do you fight an undead army? Particularly one that can replenish themselves in a matter of minutes. This also means that Bran dies as the Three-Eyed Raven, and all the memories of man are lost. So I'm assuming things don't change that much for Daenerys Targaryen away from Westeros. But it's most likely that Tyrion never joins her across the world, and she might have a bit of trouble in Slaver's Bay. But she'll probably make it out alive. I mean, this is Daenerys Targaryen. She's been up against greater odds and still come out on top. And so with the Unsullied and the Dothraki, she comes to invade Westeros at last. Only she finds it in ruins, overrun by the Night King. And honestly, if a battle ensued between Daenerys Targaryen and the Night King, it could go either way. It's possible Daenerys could win against the Night King if she's smart and she utilizes her dragons properly. But she's going to need to find another way to kill him besides Dragonfire, because the only thing that can kill the Night King is Valyrian steel. And if she doesn't find a way to kill the Night King, then she loses. Her dragons would become undead minions, and Daenerys would end up dying too. And with that in mind, I feel like it's more likely that she loses to the Night King than she defeats him. So in the end, everybody dies. And now the Night King has 3 undead dragons to help him take over the whole world. How's that for a surprise? So yes, Ned Stark's death was painful at the time, but it was necessary for the development of people like Arya, Jon Snow. It ensured the survival of Tyrion and other characters, all of whom end up being integral for the survival of Westeros. So I guess Ned Stark had to die, for the benefit of the plot, sure, but also because he was played by Sean Bean. And Sean Bean always dies, like when he was Boromir in Lord of the Rings. But what if Boromir didn't die in Lord of the Rings, and instead when he tried to take the ring from Frodo, he was successful? Well, that changes everything in the Lord of the Rings series, and I broke that whole scenario down in this video, which you'll want to check out next.